My name is Liliana Cavaliere Hintz. I'm a consultant and facilitator of the program Thinking into Results, thought personally created and thought by Bob Proctor himself and Sandy Gallagher, the president of the company of the Proctor Gallagher Institute. This program was designed and is being taught to people all over the world to help people reach their full potential and reach their goals and become aware what's keeping you from reaching their full potential or reaching their goals. To start this whole thing, I like to talk about something that I did talk in a previous video, but obviously not everybody's seen the video. So I like to explain to you how the mind works. And it's a subject that it's always been fascinating to me. I always knew deep down, subconsciously, that there's more to it than what we see and what we use in our mind. Now, we think in pictures. So let's assume that everybody knows that we are thinking in pictures. You know, everybody has a good memory, and memory is one of the 6 faculties that we are all born with, but somehow we're put aside by our senses. So we have 5 senses, and the 5 senses are the to see, hear, taste, smell, and touch. So our sight, our hearing, our taste, and our olfactory, and our touching is what we use the most. But there is 6 faculties that are dormant. They were there at the beginning of life, but somehow we got disconnected from it, and it's actually getting worse, where we're using, and we're not even aware of this anymore. I mean, you talk to people, and many people say, I have a bad memory, or I don't have imagination. So the 6 faculties are perception, will, imagination, memory, intuition, and reason. And they're actually muscles. They're undeveloped muscles. We had them at birth, but somehow we got disconnected from them. So what is this? And if you didn't see the video the last time, you don't know what this is. Now, we have the faculty of thinking in pictures. And so let me ask you a question. What comes to your mind when you think of a coffee cup? A picture of your favorite coffee cup or mug or whatever it is comes to your mind. Or you think of your car, and then your car parked, whatever it is, outside in the garage comes to your mind. Think of your dog, if you have a dog, and a picture of your dog pops in your mind. Now, when I say think of your mind, most people will picture in their mind a picture of the brain. But the mind is not the brain. Like a fingernail is not your body. It's part of your body. And the mind is part of your brain, part of your body. But it's not the actual mind. Now, because we cannot picture in our mind the mind, it's like an abstract subject. So to rewind that, In 1980, no, I'm sorry, in 1895, this man, Thurman Fleet, was born, and eventually he went on and became a naturopath. And his theory was that if you don't cure the human being on the three levels that we have, which is the intellectual, the spiritual, and the physical, we don't cure disease. Disease is caused by the mind, and it reflects on the body, and it reflects in our thoughts, and then it manifests into the body. Well, Thurman Fleet study and discover that, and they make people understand this concept of how the mind controls the body. He came up with a drawing of it, and the drawing is this. Now, to make you understand it better, I gotta start from the beginning. Okay, so we have the mind, and this is the body. Okay, so when we're born, we have all stuff going in. I mean, we start with what's in our DNA because we have some ideas that we're born with. We have a 50% of our mom, 50% of our dad that contribute to our personal DNA. And then we start having the environmental stuff that go in. So let's say the noise, the smells, anything that a baby is exposed to when they come into the world. You know, they learn to recognize the voice of the mom, they learn to recognize the voice of the dad if they're in the house. They learn to respond. They're smart. They learn to, they figured it out that if they cry, somebody's going to pick him up, or if they're hungry, somebody's going to feed him. If they're wet, somebody's going to change them. I mean, so it's like all this stuff coming in from their senses, and it's going into that bucket. Now, I don't want to lose point of this, but going back to Thurman Fleet, he became so popular in his career that some days he will get up to 500 clients going to see him. And that little town became so popular that the city decided to actually reroute the traffic because it was interfering with the normal operation of that town. Now, so why was he successful? Because with this drawing of the mind, this is the mind, we have the conscious mind, and we have the subconscious mind, and they're controlling our body. So he figured if we don't fix what's in our subconscious, we're not going to be able to fix whatever goes on in our body, whatever disease we have. Now, modern medicine got away from this, and they're managing symptoms. They're not managing disease. They're pretty much, you know, you have a headache, let's take this for a headache, but then you have a side effect from this medication, so let's give you something that manages that. So we're actually not taking care of the body in the three level, the intellectual, the spiritual, and physical. As this guy that died in 1983, and he was almost 90 years old, that he understood this concept, came up with this drawing. So we used this drawing to figure out how the mind works. So going back to as children, we have all this part is open. It's up to the parent filling it in with the proper stuff. Now, the proper stuff is, you know, we have those faculties, 6 faculties, maybe even more. we have at least 6 faculties of that we know that we are born with. You know, perception, will, memory, reason, intuition, and imagination. Now, this stuff is what makes us different than animals, right? But animals, in a way, animals, they have their intuition. You know, if a lion, if a deer sees a lion, he doesn't have to introduce himself to know that he should be afraid of the lion. He, in his own feeling, he knows that the lion's going to go after him. Well, we are born with these faculties and more, and we have reason, which animals don't have. Animals cannot reason, and animals, as far as we know, they cannot control their thoughts, but we are controlling their thoughts. And so we're losing, by the age of 7, we have lost the ability to make these faculties even better than what they are, because all this stuff is being covered by our 5 senses, like we said before. So here we have this open bucket, and as parents, we tend to do what we think is the best for our children. So back when I grew up, you know, clothespins were my cars, and boxes were my dollhouse, and we, I mean, I come from a different culture. I come from Italy, and my childhood was different than the childhood here in the United States. People my age, we had different things, and I remember that we had a TV. I mean, in the 50s, we had a TV, and it was in black and white. And I remember all the neighbors used to come over and stay there, maybe even too much to be able to watch TV, because not everybody had one. And it comes 8:30 p.m., all the commercials were coming on. So here we are, no matter what we were doing, we're sitting in front of the TV, and we had, I don't know, I think it was 10, 15 minutes of strictly commercials. And there was the time where we didn't follow, my brother and I, we didn't follow the movies, we didn't follow the documentary, we didn't follow anything else other than be there those 10, 15 minutes, whatever it was, to be guided by what we were watching. Okay, well, nowadays, we have commercials all day long, and kids don't play with clothespins anymore. And we don't even dream to give them a dirty box to pretend it's a dollhouse. So kids nowadays are put in front of a TV, they're put in front of a cell phone, they're giving, I don't even know what they're giving, the video games. I mean, it's not what it used to be. Everything is guided, directed, and kids nowadays don't even use there's no reason to use the reasoning, no reason to use the imagination. We prevent them from imagining things. We're guiding their every moment. So going back to my childhood, I remember, well, Lego were not really invented back then. We didn't have it. Maybe they were invented, but we didn't have it. But I remember buying it for my kids. My kids were born in 78, in 1980. And we were buying Lego as, depends how many pieces. So either you want to spend $10, you want to spend $100, you get a bigger box, and so on. Well, nowadays the Lego. So back then you were using your imagination. Now your Lego comes into like the puzzle. Follow the direction and build this, and follow the directive, and this will come up. And we took away that using your imagination ability that the kid should be allowed to use. So that's just as an example of what we did then versus what we're doing now. So all the kids' asses, all this stuff coming in, and it completely, that together with the DNA that we had from birth, it completely diminished all these. They diminished this because they're not using their will. They're not, the memories, like they don't remember. You're supposed to remind them, did you do your homework? Remind them, did you do this? And when before the commercials were like, I don't know, I remember in the 80s, my son used to come home with grass stains, and they were not coming off. So I remember my son would say, well, if you use Era Plus, that's supposed to take away any stain. Okay, and then it became the food. Well, if you eat this, you're going to do this. And if you do that, you're going to do that. And nowadays is, well, you have a headache, take this. You have a stomachache, do this. And if you have this, so we're letting our children and our mind be manipulated by TV, environment, fake news, the perception and opinion of other people. We're not allowing ourselves to think with our mind. We're not allowing ourselves to think with our own intellect. We're not developing this stuff that were given by us by God. And if you get offended, think about the universe or whatever you want to think. But we were created in the image of God, and our spiritual DNA is perfect. What we do with that, it's strictly up to us. But because all this is happening and we're allowing all this to happen and in our children, and then before you know, they're over 7 years old and they already are ingrained into the habits perpetuated by the environment, perpetuated by our beliefs, the parents' beliefs, the grandparents' beliefs, and kids are not used to being alone anymore. They're not used to being encouraged to think. They're not used to use their imagination anymore. We lost the ability to know how to make lemonade if we're given lemons. We lost the ability to be with ourselves, to listen to the inner voice. We live in a society where everybody wants to be connected, but they want to be connected, but they're not even connected with themselves because they don't know how to be connected with themselves. And you see people texting as they drive. You see people slaves to their virtual social life. And we lost, instead of enhance these faculties, we lost the ability to acknowledge them and use them. And it's the imagination is probably the worst. The one that it's a shame. It's a shame that as humans, being busy is synonymous of being successful, and that's not how it is. Being busy doesn't mean I'm successful because I got so many things to do. there is other ways. You can actually be successful with less things to do because you went in and apply your imagination into building the life that you wanted and create that reality and that person and your self-image as you want it. Because once you use that imagination and your other faculties to build the prototype of the life you want to live and the job you want to have and the family relation and the relation with your friends, with your coworkers, the way you want it, you need to have the ability to hold it in, that ability, and lock it. Don't let the outside environment, don't let the fake news, don't let the all that stuff affect your true self. Lock it, close the doors, and say that's enough. Don't live from the outside in, start living from the inside out, because that's what makes us sick. Not being able to keep up with the neighbor, not being able to keep up with a friend, not being able to keep up with fake news about the real value of friendship, the real value of interaction, the real value of living the way we were intended to live. So close the door, lock the door. If you have young children, do it sooner than later. Teach them how to start developing that memory, the will. The will is an important one. Give yourself self-discipline. I was raised to be very disciplined. What's discipline? Discipline is the ability to give yourself a command and follow it. And if we don't teach our children how to do that, our future society is doomed. It's doomed. We're letting all the outside forces dictate what we're supposed to be doing, what we're supposed to be wearing, what we're supposed to be thinking, and so on. And there is no wonder why we have the rate of unhappiness and the rate of unsatisfaction going around, and the rate of children lost, completely lost. Well, I hope I didn't bore you with all this. And as I'm continuing to study and learn, I have this urgent desire to teach people about it. And even though I don't want to be teaching how to raise your children, and I don't want to be teaching you how to live your life, but I just want you to become aware where we're heading at as a society, as a parent, as a friend, as a neighbor, as human beings, and start realizing that and start going into ourselves for answers, because that's where everything is. We were given the tools, the proper tools to ask a question to our subconscious and get an answer and not getting sick in the meantime. Well, thank you. And I will definitely give you more if you're interested. Just get a hold of me. We'll discuss about other things that I've learned and they can be useful to you. Thank you.